Nice, nice.
So,
All right.
well, it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
absolutely. So before we get into your life and your work and your mission and what makes you you, I want to know 4 years ago, we were looking at this pandemic, not sure how it was going to take hold and do what it did. How did you survive that time period and how did it change you?
Yeah, that was a rough time. There's a lot happening, not just obviously in the world with the pandemic, but in my own personal life. And for my son, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on. So I guess the quick answer is that I use the technique that I now teach the to my clients to help get me through it. I had to rely on what I knew for that, but there was just a lot. I'm not sure how much you want me to share about that or not, but there was just a lot happening, and it was certainly a rough time. Not more stuff than just on top of what everybody else was experiencing with the pandemic.
No, I get it. Yeah. And, I had a couple teenagers at home and my son's on the spectrum. So when this started, his two favorite things in the world were school and baseball. And I was like,
Mm,
no, 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 this isn't happening. I mean, someone told me in January, good
yeah.
friend of mine told me in January that they were already telling their kids to pack up and take it home. And I was in such denial.
Mm,
Like it was just like a big blank screen went down in front of me. And I was like, this, no,
right.
no.
Yeah.
And then it
Yeah.
happened. And
Yeah. January. Who knew? I
yeah,
mean,
I
right.
did.
Yeah.
I did in December see a picture of Beijing and no one was downtown. And I was like, what?
Mhm.
So then I was like, uh-oh, this
Yeah.
isn't just some viral SARS strand that's going to be contained on the shores of another country. This is something that's going hard.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but one of the backbones of what you do is helping parents and getting through all of this familial kind of, quagmire that can happen. So let's
Mhm.
get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis here in
Sure.
2024. Let me put you in front of a
Absolutely.
bunch of third graders. It's
Okay.
career day. One of the kids says, hey, what do you do for a living? How do you answer them?
That's awesome. Because I always think of how do I answer for the parents, right? But
Yeah.
never talking to the kids. But that's awesome. So what I do is I help what I guess I would say your parents, right? But I help parents um, to eliminate stress so they feel happier, they feel their lives become easier, so that they don't have to have so much overwhelm and stress, and they could feel in a healthier place. And then be a mom or a dad that is less angry, is less stressed out, and can kind of be more loving, um, as opposed to being stressed and frustrated and then not, maybe getting angry quickly and things don't go well that way.
So when you were in the third grade, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Probably a rock star.
Okay.
I probably knew that back then.
I see the guitars. So
Yes.
I gotta wonder what was the first live show you saw? Who were musical influences?
First live show ever was David Lee Roth. So I would say classic rock kind of a guy. Van Halen is always my favorite, but the first show I ever saw was in 1985 in Madison Square Garden, and it was him.
Was it the solo, the one that he was doing solo?
Yeah, it was Eat 'em and Smile. Yeah.
Okay. So there was a book, there was a biography on the band called Running with the Devil. Have you read that?
I haven't, but I've heard of it.
You need to read it. It's really interesting because I remember that era and I saw David Lee Roth, a good friend of mine. You just rekindled the memory I haven't thought about in a long time. She really wanted to see this show and no one would go with her. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go see David Lee
Oh,
Roth. So we go out to this outdoor amphitheater here and he was riding a microphone, big, huge microphone,
yeah,
riding
yeah,
it.
yeah.
He was
Cowboy
just,
hat.
but he is the quintessential gonzo rock front man. That's the
Yeah.
stereotype in this book will illuminate it. So you should pick it up for sure.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Take me back to where you were born and raised, and how did these seeds of being, a guiding light for parents and this role that you have in your life now, how did you evolve to this point?
Yeah, sure. So I was born at a very young age. Um,
I love it.
kind of made me think of David Lee Roth. He would just answer a question however he wanted to, just not really give the answer maybe that to the question, but I will.
Yeah.
So from a very young age, I think I was around 9 or so. Um, so before that, my parents were very they weren't hippies, but they agreed with that. They were very much into this idea of hippiness, of whatever that is, of spirituality, of heart-centered, of leading with your heart, leading with love. They were always kind of that way. And so I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and when I was growing up, I think around 9, they taught me, they, didn't ta- they learned a method of eliminating stress. It was called releasing. It's called the Sedona method. There's a lot of people that are aware of that. And so as they learned it, they realized that it would maybe be beneficial to me. And I was about 9 when I took my first basic course of that. So that is the Sedona method is a way of eliminating stress. It gives you a technique. It's a method to get in touch with what you're feeling and then let go of whatever that is at the root at a very deep level so that it's not a problem. It doesn't come back anymore when you truly let it's just letting go, and everyone's experience is letting go. This is just a kind of a formal way to not a formal, this is a way to do it that is it gives you a process so that you can do it intentionally and at will and all that. So I basically grew up with that. And other things like there was Silva mind control I did when I was a kid. There was a training called EST. I think it's Landmark now or something like that. But my parents did all that kind of stuff. And eventually I did it also. So I grew up with being really aware of feelings and then having something to do with them if I didn't like the feelings. And so eventually that combined with my love of music, we just talked about that. I'm a drummer. I started when I was about 11 or 12 and have been practicing and playing ever since. And so eventually became a music therapist because I knew that I wanted to help people. I wanted to show up and love and support. And I was kind of like the friend that everybody came to, that friends would come to with their problems. And I didn't always know, but if I didn't know what to say to them, I could just listen. And then I realized later on that basically, like, you don't really say anything. Let them listen, and then let them reflect on it, and they'll find their own answers. They'll guide them to their own wisdom, basically.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what my childhood was about. It was a very loving childhood. It was not without stress and struggle, of course, like any family, we certainly had that. But really about being aware, learning to be compassionate, and um, to having a way to handle feelings that were uncomfortable, anger, stress, frustration, whatever it was a powerful thing because it wasn't just that I had this way to handle it if I needed to, but I had a choice about it. So if I got angry at something, for example, I I didn't always choose to use this method. I knew to get rid of the anger. But the fact that I knew that I could was great. That was a really powerful thing. That I didn't have to stay that way. So
Yeah.
eventually after becoming a music therapist and a, a long line of things happened. I've been a music therapist for over 20 years. I mostly worked in nursing homes and all kinds of senior care. And eventually one day I realized like it's really painful to see end of life for people, to see people go through dementia and stuff. Dementia is something in my family that it's both of my grandmas had it. So they live with us. I literally live with it. I guess through them, through the caregiver side. And it was just after a while, I'm like, I can't spend my whole life just watching people die and just, even though I was trying to bring them love and joy through music and communication and so on, it just wasn't for me. So what else could I do, right? Um, Eventually I met this woman who had a business, a music therapy business running, giving music therapy sessions to children with special needs. And she was such a nice, incredible person. She is such a nice person. Um, and she invited me to come and do a drum circle for the parents. We wanted to do something for the parents. The kids were getting great support through her and her organization. But I realized like their parents are super stressed. Like who's helping them? Who's doing something for them? And I haven't met many people. I've met a few people, one this week actually, who work specifically with parents. And I thought, wow, I know how to bring connection, harmony, and peace to people, and these people seem to really need it. You know, it seems needed. So we organized a drum circle, and this is the part that my business coach said don't share, but I'm going to. So we set up this drum circle. I'm like, this is going to be awesome. They're going to feel peaceful. They're going to feel like rejuvenated. They're going to have a connection. They're going to feel connected to other people because sometimes it's loneliness and isolation is what they feel. And I'm so excited. I bring my drums. I'm ready to go. I'm prepared. And we have the circle set up in this beautiful facility that she had, and nobody came. Nobody showed up. And I was like, oh man, and despite people saying that they would show up. So what I later, and then we offered it a couple of times, and it was free. There was no charge. It was like, hey, just come. I want to help you. And nobody showed up even a second time. What I learned from this, and this is getting to the point of how I'm here, how I got here, is that they didn't have a night to just come out and spend a couple of
Of
hours with
course.
me. That was not a thing. They needed to be with their families. Who was going to be with their kid? who, that just, I never made that connection. Like, I can't just invite them out and they'll be like, sure, let's go. I mean, I was like, it's free. I thought it was a money thing. It wasn't, probably not. I mean, if I charged, it wouldn't have been a lot, but I really just truly wanted to help them. And
Yeah.
so I realized, like, all right, they can't not physically be here. Their schedules will be different, and even if they could show up, they can't show up because who's going to be with their kid, right? So that led me to the question, how can I bring the benefits of drumming, the outcomes of what group drumming is about, because it's not about music when I do it. How do I bring this sense of harmony, this sense of connection, this peacefulness, just a moment of like, ah, how do I give them that without drums? How do I do that? Right? How do I reach them where they are, literally where they are? I don't mean like just spiritually, but like they're in their homes, they're not going to leave their homes. Like that's what they, and they're not going to have a lot of time. So what else can I do? Thought about it a lot, had a lot of consulting with a lot of different kinds of people, but really I relied on the outcomes of music therapy, what they are. They're not usually musical benefits, right? Things like social connection and all that. So eventually I created a program that is online. It's called online Intune Parents, and it has to do with giving people sharing this tool that I was just talking about, the Sedona method, although it's now called something different. But this idea of releasing emotion, of really letting go of stress and struggle, and of community, of connection, right where they are in their homes. So it's an 8-week program that is based online so that they can watch a module when it works for them, whenever it's at their own pace and when it is convenient, or if they're sitting at a therapy appointment, they can grab their phone and just jump online for a little bit. So that's how they get the information, but it's not really information people need. Everything I say, I'm not new, right? I'm not like the first guy to ever say this stuff. I heard this quote: "If information is all we needed, we'd all be billionaires with six packs." Right? So it's not. What they need is someone to guide them and support them and kind of help them through this process and hear them. So in order to do that, we have a weekly meeting, usually it's a group meeting where I will answer questions. It's a coaching meeting, but it's about kind accountability and having them connect with each other and form friendships and stuff, right? Again, in their homes so that they don't have to be anywhere, which that was awesome because now it helped me to expand my reach. I can do this around the country. I don't have to just do it where I am. Um, and that's kind of how that evolved, but and where I am. I hope that answers the
It
question.
does. It certainly does, and it gives me a great
Mhm.
timeline. So I'm curious in this life of music therapy and now with helping parents and being an advocate, who's been a hero for you?
Oh, there's a lot. There's been a lot of heroes. They have been my music therapy mentors, just the people that I learned from, or that were kind of famous in our profession, not famous in the world. People I would certainly admire and look up to. And so one time I had a great opportunity to be mentored by one of them. So in terms of music therapy, creating harmony, there's just been a couple of people. Did you want names or like?
No, no, no.
Uh,
That gives me an idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
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 yeah. But also, I have to say, there's been a lot of people, my parents, my siblings, of course. I mean, I wouldn't be here without my parents, right?
yeah.
But in every sense. But yeah, so it's really been my parents. And then this amazing mentor I just finished working for about a year, who was more of a business mentor, but just about learning how to speak your message and kind of just talk to people about it. So that's been helpful.
So in the realm of music, if you could meet one musician alive right now, or even see somebody live that you haven't seen,
Mm.
who would it be?
That I haven't seen. I don't know. I've seen everybody in concert that I've ever wanted to so far.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can answer that. I'm not sure. I have to give you some answer. There's been so many musicians that I would have loved to meet, and I don't know. I can't think of anybody that I haven't seen.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
that's a good problem to have. So, what is your motivation every day to wake up and do the work that you do? Because you're not just going to a job, you're helping people, and
Yeah,
you also have to evolve as a human. What is that motivation?
yeah. It doesn't feel good to me to be stuck or stagnant. And what I've found to be true over time is that there seems to be a way um, that I can connect with people in a way that they feel heard and seen, and then kind of just share what's in my heart, um, so that they can, um, I guess, become unstuck if they are, help them move if they wish. It's always with their permission, if they wish, if they want to. But for the people who are ready for that, who would like it, I seem to be able to help people to do that.
So what's one of your favorite client success stories so far?
Probably probably Megan. There was a woman named Megan who, when I first met her, so she was I would say she is the mom of three little girls. And at the time when I met her, her husband and her family lived with their in-laws. And she had massive stress, overwhelm. It wasn't like the greatest situation that they ever wanted to move in with her in-laws. Um, but excuse me, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Thanks. So so she just had a lot of stress. She knew that the mom she wanted to be was in there, but I think it was covered up. But as she would say it, like the mom I knew was there, but that's it was covered up by all of the struggle and the stress surrounding her situation.
Yeah.
Um, and so we worked together. It's probably a little more than 8 weeks. I like to give a container of 8 weeks, but also I will stay with people until they have it, so they can do it. I'm
Yeah.
not just interested in like, hey, see you later. That was great.
Yeah.
That's totally against what I'm trying to do here. Um, so she learned these techniques. She had some support. And at the end, she said, there's a quote, I don't remember exactly, but her quote was something like, I go to sleep at night knowing that my kids have the me that I want to be for them, the
Yeah.
mom that I want to be for them. So for her, it was about, I don't know if it was like shifting identities, but it was about like becoming something that she knew was there, I guess blossoming or opening into, those would be my words for what I noticed. But it was a different change. Like she wasn't different. She became who she knew she wanted to be, or who she knew she was. Not who
Yeah.
she wanted to be, but she knew she was. And so this process helped her to get there. That was uh, that was great. So now I don't coach her anymore. That was actually during the pandemic. That was all happening. And when I see her, we're not so in touch, but we are friends on Facebook. So when I look at her, I see these beautiful pictures of her family. She's always smiling. And I know we can choose what we put online, right? What we post, no one's going to post a grumpy picture.
Yeah.
But she seems to me to be the person that she's told me that she wanted to be when
Yeah.
we first met, you know. And when I asked her, like, what was your motivation? Why did you do this with me? Um, she said, I was just at the point when I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like I just didn't want to do this anymore. And she wasn't like desperate, but she's like, I don't, this is not it for me.
Yeah.
And she knew there was so much more there for her. And she just wanted some help I guess, uncover that.
So in your evolution as a professional in your life and all the things that you've done and become up to this point, what are you the proudest of?
It's funny. The first thing that popped into my mind has nothing to do with my professional stuff. It's my son.
Yeah.
Is that a valid answer?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, so our son is Max. He's 15 years old. And absolutely super proud of him. I do have his permission to share this. He does have ADHD, probably dyslexia. He's never been diagnosed, but probably it seems like he's got the right symptoms for that. He has issues with anger. He'll get angry very quickly. But he is he's my light. He's certainly my wife is, and other people are too, right? So, but for Max, um, despite those challenges that he has in school, which makes school really hard for him sometimes, um, he is a fighter, in that um, he moves through things. He does it anyway, even when it's hard for him. Sometimes getting a test done, getting homework done is not possible at that moment. It's not going to happen. And so he's like, I know there's going to be consequences, but this is where I am right now. So he's just kind of like, he advocates for himself in that way. And he is just a strong person. He also does martial arts. So he wants a physically strong body, and, likes to fight, which is a super healthy thing for him, because that's a great way to work on his anger and be physically aggressive in a safe way, in a socially acceptable way, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, but for sure, he's definitely a hero of mine. Because of his strength and perseverance, even especially when it's hard, when things are hard for him. Yeah.
So you have to give good advice to your clients. What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Oh, yeah, just recently, about a week ago. Follow the joy.
Yeah.
Follow the joy. I mean, I just finished this year-long study with this incredible mentor was about, business mentor, and all this great advice of business. Oh wow, yeah, I never thought. Oh yeah, do this, don't do that. Oh, great, awesome, sounds great. And then one of the last things she told me last week was follow the joy, Russ.
Yeah.
So everything I ever told you, yeah, it's good, it'll help, but if you are showing up with that joy, with the love, with the compassion, like that's what you need. That's the
Yeah.
thing, you know. So then
Yeah.
I signed up for Podmatch, and here we are.
There we go. Look at that. It
Right?
happened.
Yeah.
So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained in your life up to this point. What advice would you give, and would that version of you listen?
I definitely would have listened. Yeah, I definitely would have
Okay.
listened. Yeah, I was a good kid. I didn't drink and do things that a lot of typical teenagers did. I would have been hungry for it. I would have been like, yeah, sure. Because at that point, I was doing all these spiritual things. So I would have said, um, you're going to be fine, even if things get hard. Or even I like if I know now, or even when things get hard, right? You're gonna come out okay, and ultimately, whatever has happened in your life, no matter how devastating it feels at the moment, you are gonna come out okay. And so just have faith and know that when things happen that are gonna feel terrible, that are gonna be terrible, it's just for uh, it's just for that moment, or it's going to that will pass,
Yeah.
and you will ultimately come back. You'll return to being okay. Use the stuff you know. Stay in your heart. Stay in your heart. And
So,
yeah,
yeah, no, 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 I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
yeah, no, the 18-year-old me would have been like, all right, I'll
Yeah.
try. Thanks.
So, flash forward to right now. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Yeah, how interesting to ask that, because that is also evolving and uncovering and changing. Um, I would, at the moment, uh, I believe I'm someone who um, feels there's this gentle kind of a quietness. I don't know if I'm an introvert, but I'm a quiet person. I'm more of an observer. And I like to the joy that I get is in watching other people, is observing and watching. Um, so at this point, I feel that I am getting more and more into my heart, more and more expanding this energy um, of peacefulness that I find that doesn't just feel good as because peace is nice to have in your life, but it's sort of a tool sometimes for me. And that's what I hope to give to share with other people, is to share from the heart of not just how to get peaceful, but why is it important? Why do people want peace? Why would a busy parent who's got so many other things on their mind care not care about peace, but like why would that matter to them? They've got a million things that their kid is the number one priority. They do everything for their child. Yes, that's beautiful. Of course they should. Definitely, I'm not saying don't do that. I'm not saying put yourself first, right? No parent does that, or most don't. But to go deeper into that, it's to me, it's about what is the possible. It's the possibilities of peace. It's what how does it feel when you're connected to peace in terms of what are the gracefulness of peace, the possibility of peace, what becomes possible when you're peaceful as compared to when you're massively stressed out. How do you show up then? What's the stress, the turmoil, the struggle, the weight of stress. What is that compared to the grace and the possibility of peace? So that's why I think having peace is important, even for people who are super busy and feel like it's not a luxury, it's a tool, basically.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well said. So, if anyone wants to hire you, reach out, learn more about you, any of the good business, where do they go?
Yeah, so I would love people to. I have a master class which is goes very much deeper into this. But it's not long. It's about 26 minutes long. So you can see that it's intuneparents.com, and that's a great place just to watch the master class. I also have a website they can read. It's not specifically about the master class, but is it okay if I give the
Sure,
website?
please
Okay,
do.
that is raisingspecialneedskids.com.
Okay.
And that's they can kind of just my stories on there and all that stuff.
Right on. You've done a
Yeah.
really masterful way of weaving in good dad jokes during this.
Oh, thank you. I can't help it. That's that's
That
that's unconscious now.
it's something that I tend to do. I get a lot of groans where I'm at, but I admire and respect it. So good work, Russ. This has
Thanks.
been wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you
My
for your
pleasure.
light. Thank you for your time.